Feuchamaich ye Olde Scot the Celtic podcast. Kimraha Huladunya, how is everyone? On today's show in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, that's Let's Try Little Gaelic. We're in the third part of Frustrated with Gaelic. And in Celtic history, it's a brief history of Clan Donald. In everyday Celtic ways, it's going to be the politics and intrigue of the Celtic world. And we're going to hear music from Anne Martin, Julie Fowlis, and Monran. And in the history of Ireland, check it out. In 830, Angus of Tullett writes the Martyrology of Tullett, which speaks of the last vestiges of paganism in Ireland. Then only 22 short years later, in 852, the Vikings Ivor the Boneless and Olaf the White land in Dublin Bay and establish a fortress close. The coming years of violence, war, and oppression by the Vikings is attributed to a bad omen due to their Irish people turning their backs on the Celtic gods. If you're already a subscriber to the Ye Olde Scot YouTube channel and enjoy the variety of interesting videos and podcasts that we produce weekly, then you should join us on the Ye Olde Scot Facebook group. Not only do you get all the great videos you already enjoy, but so much more. Come and connect with your Celtic community here on Ye Olde Scot Facebook group. Welcome to Learn a Gaelic Song. Today's song is Níonaich Agrai. Now this is by Anne Martin of Skye, and this beautiful song is in the style of traditional island laments. It's about a man who's struggling to write his feelings. He laments for a girl he is truly in love with. He dreams of her. He dreams of even being with her. However, though the song never comes right out and says she has passed away, you get the feeling that she is no longer of this world, and that is where his pain emanates from. So, it's a beautiful love song with a hidden haunting undertone. The original song, of course, was written by Murdo Morrison from Tarbert on Harris. So enjoy. Remember, Gaelic at the top, English at the bottom. Get ready. Scottish Gaelic is native to the Gaels of Scotland. Scottish Gaelic developed out of the Old Irish, and learning this beautiful language can be a direct link to your Gaelic ancestors. Follow along in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, and like I said, let's try a little Gaelic. Frustrated with Gaelic? An easy way to keep the Scottish Gaelic language alive is to keep it in your daily vocabulary. Little bits here and there to let those around you know how important it is to you. This is especially important if you have small children. They will have the benefits of learning another language and share a common link with you and your heritage. Like all verbs in Gaelic, there is only one form for all persons. For a positive statement in the present tense, this is ha. Just add the subject to it, either a pronoun or a noun, and this gives you the basis of sentence structure. Verb, subject, and everything else. Pronouns are combined with the verb ha as follows. Ha-me, ha-u, informal, ha-shiv, formal or plural. I am, you are, informal, and you are, formal or plural. There are two ways to say you in Gaelic. U is you for singular or familiar usage. Shiv is for you for formal usage, showing respect, or if you don't know the person you are talking to, and plural usages for speaking to more than one person. Ha-a, and the E is pronounced A. Ha-e, and the I is pronounced E. Ha-a, he is. Ha-e, she is. Ha-shin and ha-iat. Ha-shin is we are, and ha-iat is they are. Adjectives can be added to make a simple sentence. We will use the Gaelic word fuair, which is cold. Ha-mi fuair, I am cold. Ha-u fuair, you are cold, informal. Ha-a fuair, he is cold. Ha-e fuair, she is cold. Ha-shin fuair, we are cold. Ha-shiv fuair, you are cold, formal or plural. And ha-iat fuair, they are cold.
Me gaven round the fallen you ganyan sheet it's grieved or evening out the buckle on je hekken is rutten of a gown skum being ek blinudan skum kure eten draun je kiet in galaf mi kashu slem of a kichen am road a dolloch na matigar ashik savoch mor of duach na machasse swashniach gedwarn alone Gadiachen ich min dalde ban chofatse vis mit deo. Luran ik mi jerstig, arstig dun je goot. A hoeke stuiken dal mi, so nog go karstje smoot. Hoek got ie a bjerstje miri ei vlastov. Gushi sin je vocht nur galk, sin de wach aschers plaslen goot. Fashin grishin kjarsje weg, op blassa der stu krui. Gundan ik ben een masje, smut jallare van gorst. Es gaan in hinken pamatan, rage gintje gewoon. Nur hokkie mag, go fashin jak, shin jarsje loch de ski. Snur hash ik kurne maar orn, bewa wie et chi. Van misje maar vakach, es am stri San dramagal min kjærstevøk Betulig jallig skin On jere svei skjetje garn Gehattes tjena bær Ashin jular beter gøynar skine gedelar Rishi skal klashi lei Smøyte skal gegarst Fakura mega krefak in nakchilegi kepra Loch bøstol, let Gianni is arst. Hoek mi leeuw ma wakkichen, is haar mi assewaat. Gaan aan inse na patintje, get er achin rente juist. Hoe het mi kattel zachter aan het dachie gunje koos. Ik masha geroot maar ragare, or nog die karstjes goos. Gumme fatte slani, or spajali na tooi. Kalleroon, andere nog gegaten geloch. Kriach nicht mehr dort, ein Schalke nicht mehr geben dort. Ein Mann doch hiel mich gachi, agus Bochtel na mal vor. Kring ich schien ne Karsten, gepasst die Eck ach schorst. Es kara hüne Hane kling, ach Hane goloch mo.
Celtic history brings you the tales of the land, castles, warriors, heroes, legends, and customs that have created the rich, vibrant, and sometimes strange and wonderful history of the Celtic world.
A brief history of Clan Donald. Part 1, Dalraida. For 1,000 years, the Western Highlands and the Hebrides were haunted by the memory of the great lords of the Isles. The chiefs of Clan Donald trace their ancestry back to the legendary Irish King Con of 100 battles. He embodied the poetry, grandeur, and ultimately the doomed aspirations of the Celtic tradition in Scotland. In early Celtic times, the name Alba referred to the lands of northern Britain beyond the great estuaries of the Forth and the Clyde, inhabited by the Pictish people called the Crunia. At the beginning of the 6th century, 3 Gaelic clans of Irish Scoti who were descendants of the Picts who had fought the Roman legions along the Hadrian and Antonine Wars, landed in the western peninsula of Kintyre and established the Kingdom of Dalraida. Their leader was Feuchamaich Beagan, who was a descendant of the famous Irish King Con of 100 battles, and the reputed ancestor of Clan Donald. Feuchamaich Beagan settled his people along the West Highland coastline of Lorne and Argyll and colonised the southern islands of the Inner Hebrides. Tucked behind the great mountain ranges of True Malvern, the Scoti consolidated their position, warring against the Pictish neighbours and the Celtic Britons of Strathclyde. Dalraida was often threatened by Anglo invaders who were advancing northwards from Northumbria into the lowland plains of southern Alba. In 843 AD the Dalraidic king, Kenneth MacAlpin, either by conquest or inheritance assumed the crown of Alba and occupied the ancient Pictish capital at Scone. The Picts as a race thereafter disappeared from history. With the successive deposing of Giric in 899 AD and the death of Domhnall in 900 AD. This would have cleared the way for the ancestors of Clan Donald to take power in the West and the Isles. However, another group had set its eyes upon the British Isles, and would become a problem for a few hundred years. In the end, the Scoti are remembered for giving their name to the emerging realm of Scotland.
Everyday Celtic Ways brings you the mythology, traditions, and customs that have created a unique and personal culture that still affects those that are Celtic and those that just love the Celtic world. Politics and intrigue of the Celtic world. The Black Dinner of 1440. Joan Beaufort married Sir James Stuart, the Black Knight of Lorne, later known as James I of Scotland. This union produced James II of Scotland. Upon the assassination of James I in 1437, Sir Alistair Livingston, Sir William Crichton, and James Douglas received the authority to rule Scotland during the young king's minority. Sir Alexander Livingston was the judicator of Scotland and keeper of Stirling Castle for at least part of the king's minority, during which he had custody of King James II. It was his job to oversee the young king to maturity, keep alliances, protect against usurpers, and educate James in the ways of running a country. Sir Alexander Livingston and Sir William Crichton, the Lord Chancellor of Scotland, had come to an agreement of sorts. They were convinced that the Douglases, led by the young, headstrong 6th Earl of Douglas, aged 16, that they were enemies to the throne. They conspired together to crush the Douglases and, in doing so, secure their own authority over King James II. Now, it was easy to secure enough evidence to support a charge of high treason against the 6th Earl of Douglas and his associates. It was a different matter, though, to arrest this powerful baron in the midst of his own people in his own castle. The 6th Earl of Douglas was too young and inexperienced to see the conspiracy unfolding before him. Now, it was easy for Sir William Crichton to lure the young Earl from his castle. It would have been an honor to present himself at the court of the boy King James II in Edinburgh Castle for a celebratory dinner. The 6th Earl of Douglas, his younger brother David, and his advisor Sir Malcolm Fleming of Cumbernauld arrived at Edinburgh Castle that fateful night on November 24th, 1440. Now, a banquet was held at the Great Hall of Edinburgh Castle, and the young James II, aged 10, was charmed with the company of the Douglases. Young James II usually spent his days in the company of men much older, in the pursuit of making him a great king, so companions near his own age would have been a very happy distraction. As the feast was coming to an end, the last course was eagerly anticipated. The head of a black bull was brought into the hall. Under Scottish custom, this formality was an omen of death for the principal guests at the dinner. James II pleaded for their lives of his new friends. The Earl of Douglas was arrested, together with his only brother and his friend and counselor Sir Malcolm Fleming of Cumbernauld. The three of them were accused of high treason, found guilty, and beheaded on Castle Hill in the presence of the 10-year-old King James II. Now, the Earl and his brother were executed that day, November 24th, 1440. Sir Malcolm Fleming was actually executed 4 days later. The later executions were contrary to the wishes of Livingston, which explains the delay. Now, 3 years later, on the 16th of August, 1443, Sir Alexander Livingston, in the presence of Robert Fleming and 4 bishops, purged himself. He purged an oath of having given any counsel, help, or consent to the slaughter of Sir Malcolm Fleming. The omen of the black bull's head placed on the table was a sign of sudden death. The executions carried out gave rise to the following sinister rhyme: Edinburgh Castle, town and tower, grant ye sink or sin, and that even for the black dinner Earl Douglas got therein. Now, it is improbable that either Livingston or Crichton would have been the party of such theatrics, yet the two who carried out the black dinner allowed the story to live on. It is either true or it is cheaply bought reputation. Following the demise of William, the 6th Earl of Douglas, and his brother at the black dinner, William's great-uncle James, known as James the Gross, became the 7th Earl of Douglas. He had conspired in the execution of his nephews. He inherited the earldom and the Douglas estates, even though he was not there that fateful night. With this act, the Douglases' power in Scottish politics diminished, and young James II realized he had no real power until he came of age. Odd bit of trivia. In 1472, Beatrice Fleming, daughter of Sir Robert Fleming, 1st Lord Fleming, married Sir James Livingston, 3rd Lord Livingston. His great-grandfather, Sir Alexander Livingston, was a chief conspirator involved in the Black Dinner of 1440. That dinner resulted in the execution of her grandfather, Sir Malcolm Fleming of Cumbernauld.
Samnane Julia, Eden dövet ene fein, Boad het verden aan kunt heen. Van een gereine melk, o sam han het juich hou. At se wissen lin schauper, bekein het kein a slight charge, jou me verden dunne shout. Ach nach hier bjau is morgen jaren, o sam han het juich hou. Snur de hiknikken god, gunron de warmen foskja, snachtra kein a sloy George. Ach maar jou a falla we shallow, o sam han het juich hou. Kranichiet is hoe dat diep, sam borstach lachad morar sheep, schara ver was skiep, nachtra krein krein jaren, o sam han het juich hou. Hanigruv le morul le erxle gonne dal van gorst, skaune vrienige le gruin, hoeken dol gesukte va hennet, o sam han het juich hou. Sachliu, Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, hoeke mag ja tassen duur, gun surs jon se ganjen, o sam han het juich hou. Skudi nish jemgan, shem al gurach shiviswan, lever sol voran. Lesje gran guashnen sparan, o sam han het juich hou. Ledem dubet jenet wein, hoe dat verden aan heen. Van een gereine melk, o sam han het juich hou.
Top 11 Heritage. Now remember to check out my YouTube channel. It's got Celtic music, podcasts, Gaelic language, Gaelic song, Celtic history videos, plus lots more. And my Facebook group where you can give me your inputs and insights on all things Celtic.
Goodbye, Apple Baby. Masha Weave.
Goodbye, everybody. But I'm going to let you go with a song.
Gürtelig lamar hami smocheriem sasik bram Vonen jak mi biant nart jo Glauben Srom Segnale van Natale Gachlar vel min hår Laki napitor Sacher mit jevi bahas Mares buon gebracht Hanyel Shinjele Gacher Feuchamaich buon Pas Sverschierten Blian Schies Snacht gegriene Nacht An Halle verliert mein Horst Jem na wie allen Sus Nenjor Ek ne Schelse Bolle Chalir Govam Lekjor Kun gelassen joch kek moch los En leef voor mij goede woord Ach get aan door Shakroyara Amos moa Jenek Niklo Jersen Yachim Marachok Bishines Kenah Glavakines Bilen Bula Tashfok Smayanten is be Pajig Lefan Met Vjok Aike Valat Nat lepi khuri vla Kato sa hene khos Dageske sunt osla A mission chau Ste trai shi huas nam khlosen Fuahim vash Genur die fein boy, I'm